morning. I think everybody can hear. Give me a hands up, something. Give me a wave, something. Make sure you can hear me. You get my morning voice, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm a little bit snotty, and my lighting really, really is bad, and I don't know what to do about it. Let's see here. And I have a guy mowing the yard this morning. I'm hoping that you don't pick up around the fan. Tell me if the sound is okay, because I want you to really be able to hear Carol. Uh, Good morning. Let me start at the beginning. Good morning, Jinx. Thank you for being here. I really didn't have any expectations, y'all, this morning, because I know a lot of people watch on the replay, and that is fine. Good morning, Paige. Scroll down here. Mama Bear, good morning. Pam Frenchman, hello. Kelly from Australia, wow. What time is it in Australia? Just curiosity. I know there's a big time. Oh, hello, Miss Persevere. Good morning, good morning. All right, I'm really excited about today because in spite of my swollen, puffy face and my morning voice, I'm excited to have Carol back and do a second interview with her, let her finish telling her story, and then Justice Served Daily is going to join us at some point. We're going to be talking about human trafficking and stuff like that. It's a national crisis, and she's going to tell us, and especially y'all from Indiana and the Delphi, I know there's a lot of friends from Indiana. Indiana is really, really bad for trafficking. People going missing. I think I'm going to do a show just on that. Also, Carol has a book coming out later this year. We hope in December or January, Escape from Palm Beach. So, and look, I want to have her. Where did she go? Where did Carol go? She's not backstage. Oh, this is bad. Carol, where did you go? Do I need to put another link up? Everything was good, and then it wasn't. But anyway, yeah, it's closer to when she knows her book is going to launch. I want to have her back on and talk about that so we can all, kind of support her. Wow, the things that she's been through. If you missed the last broadcast, she talked about her childhood. She talked about being part of Project Bluebird and MK Ultra. So that took us up to, oh, there she is. I think she's coming on again. So I don't want to waste any time because, yes, Jinx, Indianapolis is what did you say? Let me say it. Is an epicenter of trafficking, yes. And Justice really keeps her eyeballs on Indiana. All right, without further ado, I am going to try to get Carol in here. All right, let's see if this works. Can you hear? Let's see if she's coming on. Oh, no, she's gone again. Justice isn't here. All right. Okay. Hello, Carol. Are you having problems?
Yeah, there's a lot of interference. It keeps cutting in and out. It comes through and then it just freezes. It's just like freeze frame.
Okay. Can you let me know? I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. We had so many problems. I'm going to put her right up next to the
I think it's because my house is like in a wooded area and I get a lot of interference because of the tree line.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm rural too. I usually don't have great reception, but I don't usually have these problems. Somebody tell
Yeah.
me on here, can you all hear Carol? I'm waiting for somebody to say something. I think I've got my phone turned up all the way. Let me see. There we go. All right. Can you hear Carol? Okay. I've got her right next to my microphone. Is it too loud? Is it too soft?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
We good? No comment so far. I heard someone. Miss Persevere. Let's see. Let's see. How do I? All good. Mama. Okay. Mama Bear says all good. All right. Good. 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 I'm just gonna hold you up here in my hands, Carol.
Okay, I know it's.
So last time, we went into a lot um, of the MK Ultra and all the kind of things that started in the childhood, and we got up to, I think, your marriage to your first husband. Is that where you remember we got to?
Yeah. That's where when my parents died in 1995, I had a breakdown in my programming, and that's where I had that bad car accident, and everything just kind of shook me into reality. You know what I mean?
Yes. So how old were you at this time?
Let's see. In 1995, I was 33 years old. I hate using that number because that's a Masonic number. Very coincidentally.
Okay, somebody said, I'm going to back you up just a little bit. Somebody said it's a little bit loud. All right. I have a new microphone. It's not the best, but it's certainly not expensive, but it's better than what I had. So I'm not sure where I can turn this down to a little bit. Okay, so you had the accident. You're married to your first husband. Do you have kids at this time?
Yes, I had 3 children at this time.
Okay. So kind of go through, I guess, you have such an incredible journey from victim of so many different things, from human trafficking, like I said, the mind control, and then you're into advocacy. So I'm just going to let you talk, and you kind of tell us, how did you get from someone who had been so messed up from mind control and trafficking to where you are today? Finish out the story.
That's quite a Pandora's box. So I'm going to read or give an outline from chapter 8. Well, actually, no, it's chapter 7. And this is, let's see. Actually, it's chapter 6, the old country. And this was about 2003. This was after all the car accident things happened in the mid-90s. And apparently, my relatives in Finland, who are like Illuminati type people, they're involved in the Finnish parliament. Some of them are chemists. One's high up in academia, is actually a high-level professor at the University of Helsinki. They got wind that I was starting to wake up and, get into activism and so forth. And I was very active in my church at this time. And very coincidentally, my next-door neighbor and my best friend that we went to church together, one day she called up and she said, "Hey, you'll never, guess who just called me?" And I'm like, "Who would that be?" She goes, "It's your Uncle Savoy from Finland." And I go, "Really?" I go, "How come my extended family in Finland is contacting you?" She said, "Well, they were just curious about you since, your parents died, and they would like to meet you. And since, my family is going to Finland in that general vicinity this year, like southern Finland, we'd like you to travel along so you can meet your extended family." Well, it's the old saying, my spider senses started tingling. I just felt like very uncomfortable about it because my extended family in Finland had never taken an interest in me before this. And so I suspected that it had something to do, with my activism and my waking up from all the programming. So she let me think about it for a little while, and I called her back later that day after she made the proposal that my uncle said I should come to Finland that summer. And I said, yeah, Ellie, I said, I don't think I want to go. I'm like, I'm just starting a business now. And our daughter was 4 years old at that time. And I said, I don't feel comfortable taking, a preschooler to a foreign country. So thanks anyway. And she just got frantic. She said, oh, no, you must go. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to go, and visit your relatives in Finland. And besides that, your uncle said he'll pay for everything. And I said, okay. I go, how can I refuse, right? So we started making plans, to travel that summer. I was busy building my franchise. I had just bought a pest control franchise from a friend, so I was trying to do that and become, somewhat independent. And so it was June of 2003. We all got together. My Finnish friends and I got together, and we flew into Helsinki. And my cousin, who is a professor at the University of Helsinki, met us at the airport, and she had a big sign that said Carolina, which is what they call me in Finland, Carolina. And, she was very nice. She said she was a professor and that she's the daughter of my uncle, who was a chemist and a Finnish parliamentarian, which was very chilling to me because Sydney Gottlieb, who was like the main director of MK Ultra, was also a chemist. And I just found that to be very chilling and very coincidental. And to this day, I feel like there was some connection there, because of my speaking out against MK Ultra. So that evening, my cousin drove us to a relative's house in the Finnish countryside, and we had a nice evening. All the children were dressed in Gothic clothing. This was the time of year which is called Johannes, which is basically a pagan celebration of the summer solstice, and they still take it very seriously. Finnish mythology talks about their counterpart to Thor and Thor's hammer and all of that is Ukko. Ukko is the god of thunder in Finland, and if you're nice to Ukko, he will give you a good harvest. So that's what they still follow, these pagan rituals and so forth. So we stayed there that night, and so you think of the backdrop of the midnight sun, because in Finland the sun doesn't completely go down because that's the Arctic Circle. Depending on how far north you go, you have like just above twilight. There is a lot of light still, like at midnight and so forth. So that was very surreal for me with all of these things going on. And so the next day, after we had a nice night, we our host made us pizzas in a brick oven and invited us into the sauna, which is all traditional Finnish hospitality. My friend Ellie and I said our goodbyes that morning. She was departing to her relative's house, and then my cousin Mariana came back to pick us up to drive us to the chemist's house. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when we got to the chemist's house, which is my uncle, the boy, they tried to be very hospitable to us, with my 4-year-old daughter just meeting us for the first time. They put on a big spread, the traditional Scandinavian smorgasbord and everything. And And so I was getting, very much back into my Christian teachings at that time. So I was trying to read my Bible every morning, and that was very healing for me. Getting closer to my source. And when I was at my Uncle Savoy's house one morning during my stay, I was reading my Bible on the lanai, and he came out and he was very harsh and gruff with me. He goes, "Why are you wasting your time with this thing? You're praying to nothing." He goes, "This is all foolishness." And then I quoted him a scripture from Romans 1 about how God can be seen through creation, his eternal Godship and power. So it's without excuse. That's actually Romans 1:20. And he got so pissed off and he just stormed off the lanai and went in the house and slammed the door on me. So after a couple of days at Uncle Savoy's house, it was time to travel to my other uncle, because my father came from a family of 11. It was mostly boys. I think there was only one girl, but it was mostly boys. So it was time to go to my other uncle, Vimo's house, which was in Turku, Finland. That's also southern Finland. And on the way, on the road trip to my other uncle's house, my Uncle Savoy purposely took the back roads past all of the experimental laboratories, and of course it would say experimentia laboratory or something like that. And I honestly feel like he did that just to be mean and to maybe cause me to dissociate, because I really got triggered. I felt like, oh my God, they're taking me back. They're taking me back to be experimented on, and they're going to experiment on my daughter too. I just started getting all these paranoid feelings or whatever. So I prayed really hard. And then finally, like 200 miles later, we ended up at my Uncle Vimo's house in Turku, which is a port city. It actually used to be the capital of Finland, and there's actually a medieval castle there, which is left over from when Finland was ruled by Sweden, I think for about 700, almost 800 years. So in traditional Finnish households, you always go to the summer cottage, which is out in the archipelago. The archipelago off of Turku is like the largest one, landlocked one in the world outside of the one, in the Pacific. There's there's hundreds of islands out there, and I guess the Vikings used to hide their treasure out there, so it's kind of a cool place. And then you take your metal detectors and you look for Viking treasure in the summertime, and people have actually found pieces of eight and gold chalices and everything out there. And so my Uncle Savoy and his wife went back home, and they left me with my Uncle Vimo. And then Uncle Vimo said, "Okay, well, tomorrow we're going to go to the summer cottage out in the archipelago, and spend our time there, and then you can, take your daughter fishing or whatever." And so we got to the summer cottage out in the archipelago, and they started making the traditional musta makara, which is like a blood sausage. And we were like, my daughter and I were looking like, no, we're not eating that. So if that's your traditional thing that you eat during, the summer solstice, you go ahead with that. We'll just have some potatoes or whatever. And night was falling. I mean, as much as night can fall in the Arctic Circle during the midnight sun, I mean, it's kind of like a twilight. It's not completely dark, and it's not completely light. It's kind of, I would just say twilight. And all of a sudden, my uncle and my aunt started threatening me. They're going, you can find yourself in a big predicament if you divulge too many family secrets. Wow. And I got a very sickening feeling in the pit of my stomach. I go, oh my God, they just like invited me here to basically, gaslight me and trap me because, they know that I'm speaking out because I was starting to get into my activism and stuff at that point. So we just retired to our room. My daughter and I retired to our room. And I got really desperate, and I didn't really know how the long distance service worked in Finland or whatever. I had never been there before. So there was a phone in my room, and I called my daughter back in Florida. And I said, Danny, I said, get on the phone and start looking up flights out of Helsinki. I said, I have to get out of here. It's like these people are threatening me. And during Johannes Midsummer celebration in Finland, I mean, the flights are booked solid. It's nearly impossible to try to fly out of there at that time. So I waited a couple of hours, and she called back. She goes, Mom, I found one flight going out of Helsinki at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's going to cost you an extra $300 to change your arrangements. So I just packed up me and my daughter. I called a cab, and we're way out in the archipelago, like, maybe 60 miles from civilization. And I swear, Lily, the cab came in 5 minutes. It was like, wow. It was like amazing. I was like, how lucky am I? So I packed up me and my daughter, and we're running out the door. And all of a sudden, my aunt emerges from the bedroom, like naked and crying. She goes, Carolina, why are you leaving in the middle of the night? This is not good or whatever. I said, I'm sorry, Auntie. I said, I got to go. I said, the baby misses her daddy. So we're going back to the States. Thank you for your hospitality. Bye.
Yeah. Deuces.
Pardon me?
I said, deuces, I'm out.
And so we got into the cab, and we really had to run the gauntlet because it's like from my uncle's house, it was a 90-minute cab, a combination of a cab and a bus ride from the Turku archipelago to Helsinki. And so it was 2 hours till my flight left. So we only had like a 30-minute leeway. And so we made a very smooth transition from the cab to the bus going to Helsinki airport. And on the bus, it was like really surreal. Somebody was blasting the song Telephone Line by ELO in the background. And I'm like, I just felt really surreal. I like, where am I? And there was a raging storm outside. It was raining like cats and dogs outside. And this bus, I swear, this bus, Lily, was going 100 miles an hour. I was like terrified. And you've got this loud ELO music blasting in the back. My daughter was sleeping by this point, thank goodness. We didn't have to endure all of that. So we got to Helsinki airport. I was able to change my tickets, right in the nick of time to get out of there. And then 12 hours later, we were back in Miami. So, I was breathing a sigh of relief.
Wow.
So that was my escape from my relatives' threats on my activism and my awakening, I should say.
Wow, that's terrifying. I mean, you think you can trust your family, Wow. So, and you were about about how old were you then? You said your daughter how old was she? I guess maybe
my youngest child was 4 years old at that time, and
wow.
So, let me see, in 2003, I was 41 years old.
Okay, so they were basically trying to get your daughter at the same time, about the same age as they started with you, correct?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the scary thing is that my uncle is a chemist and a retired Finnish parliamentarian, and I think that he was like simpatico with Sidney Gottlieb, who was basically the head of MK Ultra from from the entire duration of it, probably from 1953 to 1973, which makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Wow.
Because they were both chemists, you know what I mean? So
right.
to me, is a logical conclusion.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So, did you have any other encounters, like, that were, I guess, that intense, like through your life? Did you keep having encounters where they kept trying to get you or your children again?
Oh, yeah, always. They would always try to make up stories about how I was a bad mother. They would always refer back to the days where I was trafficked. And it's like, don't bring up the time when I was trafficked, because you're the one that caused that. I was a child. I would have never have chose a life of prostitution or exploitation for myself. I was a child and I had no choice in the matter. So I'm handing the shame back to you.
Yeah.
There's a Gloria Masters, Gloria Masters, who is a recovering sex slave. She has a channel called Handing Back the Shame, and I so resonate with that. I hand it back to you.
Yeah. The nerve.
I'm not taking the fall for that one.
Yeah, I can't believe the nerve, of people to say. I just, I'm flabbergasted. For people to, so I'm just gonna shut up with my own opinions on that. But yeah, so tell us what happened next.
Okay, so I don't know who said it. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. So chapter 7 is anger turns into activism, and I quote Plato. I say, necessity is the mother of invention. And after a long and arduous journey of abuse and healing, I felt I would be remiss if I didn't do my civic duty. So in 2005, I began researching human trafficking, ritual abuse, and MK Ultra government experimentation. As a result, I soon connected with 2 Canadian nurses named Jean Sarson and Linda McDonald out of Truro, Nova Scotia, Canada. And they founded a group called Persons Against Ritual Abuse and Torture, which has now been renamed Persons Against Non-State Torture. And Jean and Linda began counseling me in my healing process. They asked me to participate in a 1-page statement for survivors of